Hi guys! I am in between teaching two of my classes right now, so I figured that would be a good time for me to do a discussion board. So please excuse the backdrop, but I'll just go ahead and teach from right here. This is where my computer is. So this discussion post this week, I thought it was interesting to view the story from a view of magical realism. Before this class, I'd never even heard of that. And so the two articles actually really helped me in kind of getting an understanding of what that is. And I really liked the article where, I guess, Garcia Marquez, is that how you say it? Where he is interviewed because he talks a lot about how, I'll just quote it. He says, "In Mexico, surrealism runs through the streets. Surrealism comes from the reality of Latin America." And that was from Fetter's article. I thought that was interesting that he sees it as something so commonplace in where he's from, and perhaps that's why he integrates it so much into his story. And then in Moore's piece, it said, "Magical realism differs from pure fantasy primarily because it is set in a normal modern world with authentic descriptions of humans and society." So that really helped me to kind of get a better grasp of what magical realism is. So the example from the story that I wanted to use to discuss the body was on page 313. So I'm just going to read the part I want to discuss really quickly, so that way we're all on the same page. It says, "Even in his youth, Florentino Ariza climbed up and down stairs with special care, for he had always believed that old age began with one's first minor fall and that death came with the second. The staircase in his offices seemed the most dangerous of all to him because it was so steep and narrow, and long before he had to make a special effort not to drag his feet, he would climb it with his eyes fixed on each step and both hands clutching the banister. It had often been suggested that he replace it with one that was less dangerous, but he always put off the decision until next month because he thought it was a concession to old age. As the years passed, it took him longer and longer to walk up the stairs, not because it was harder for him, as he himself hurried to explain, but because he used greater and greater care in the climb." And then it talks about later on in the day, after he returned from lunch, he tried to reach the third stair, was so youthful a dance step that he twisted his ankle, fell backward, and only by a miracle did not kill himself. So he's reached this point in his life where he's old enough that he has to worry about falls. My great-grandma is still alive. She lives with my parents because she needs someone to take care of her. And she is 96. She's going to be 96 this next month. And my parents always have to make sure that she hasn't fallen, because if she falls, she could literally die, 3 days later. When people fall when they're that old, it's really tragic. And so I thought that was interesting because here he's literally talking about the fear of falling, but I also saw it as kind of a symbol for his love life. Because when Fermina first leaves, he has this fantasy that he can cure his heartache with sex. He thinks, okay, I'm going to save my virginity for her. Oh, wait, this feels really good. I'm just going to go ahead and have sex all the time, and that'll make me forget about her for right now. I'll still save myself for her, but what's wrong in indulging a little bit of passion? That's kind of where he goes with it. So he thinks that he can bandage this emotional pain with physical pleasure. And the part here where it says that, just a second. Oh, that he put off the decision about replacing the banister because he thought it was a concession to old age. I saw that for a symbol as how others would tell him, just move on, forget about Fermina, she's gone, she's married to Dr. Urbino, it's not going to happen. But he still held on. So he kept denying the fact he was getting older. He kept denying the fact that it was never going to happen. He ignored the fact his body was getting older. He ignored the fact that Fermina was married. And he kept on going. He thought, if I fall, I have a chance to try again, but the second time's going to be death. So at this point, when he falls, it's just like when he falls at first with Fermina, and now he has this second chance, and if it doesn't work on the second chance, it's going to result in his death. And Florentino thinks that he has not betrayed her through his entire life, even though he's gone and had sex with many different women. He still tells her that he's a virgin, even though she doesn't believe him. But I think in his heart, he's saying, yeah, I may have fooled around physically with all these other women, but emotionally, I am still only yours. So he's consistent in the fact that he has not betrayed her trust. And none of these women he's been with can make him feel the same way that he thinks he'll feel with Fermina. And then the last thing I just wanted to compare as far as like his body goes is where he falls, and it says only by a miracle he did not kill himself. So this fall, his body's so old, it's so decrepit, I guess, at this point, that it's a miracle he didn't die from this fall. And likewise, it's a miracle he has not emotionally or physically, but mainly emotionally died on this quest to save himself for Fermina. He's been determined to keep himself for her, and even though his love is aging, just like his body is aging, there's this symbol that even though he didn't die now, he has this one last chance, he still has this one last chance with her. And so I thought that was interesting to compare his body and the effects of its aging to his love and the effects of that relationship aging. So I look forward to the comments. Thanks.